It's been a tough year, dog. This year alone, I spent over 30 days in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? When I was in the hospital, I got the call to do this. He was like, yo, Snow, you want to record your half-hour comedy special? I was in that bitch like, yes! Yes, please. So thank y'all for coming, man, for real. I'm happy to be here. Anyway, let's get to it. I'm from Compton, you know? Hell yeah. Home of the 4-time undisputed rap beef champions. You know? Birthplace of Dr. Dre, Gangsta Rap, Serena Williams, me. And of course, Kendrick Lamar. You know? When he dropped Not Like Us, I felt like Compton won the Super Bowl. You know? My favorite part about that beef is that nobody died. You know? Because Compton is in a good place now. You know, we just got our bike lanes. We just got Tesla chargers. I wouldn't charge my Cybertruck there, but it is bulletproof. You know, we still get ice cream trucks. They don't come down the block till 9 o'clock at night. The nigga's selling way more than ice cream. You know, he don't even play the song. He just pull up and go, bum, bum. You got 5 minutes, girl. You know? Compton is crazy. I travel a lot and I tell people I'm from Compton, and I don't like that the first thing people bring up is Boys in the Hood. Like, is it still ghetto like Boys in the Hood? I'm like, no. How does Compton have a reputation that's 30 years old? You know what you didn't see in Boys in the Hood? Whole Foods. I mean, we still ain't got one. So lay away, you know? Compton has this reputation, man, about gang violence. When you think of Compton, you think gang violence, and people don't even know the history of it. So it bothers me. I gotta tell people, you know, the Bloods and the Crips were not the first gang in Compton, you know, because in the 1950s, Compton used to be an all-white suburb, you know? It was basically golf before Tiger Woods, all white. You know? And then after World War II, blacks and Mexicans started to move into the city because at the time, that was one of the few places they could get a house. And white people was like, fuck that. They started a gang called the Spook Hunters. Yeah, that's how flagrant they were with their gang name. It's like, imagine if before the Crips rebranded, they were called the Cracker Crackers. It's crazy, bro. This is true, you can look it up. They were called the Spook Hunters. And so the Bloods and Crips were established as a form of protection against them. They were like, hey, don't come over here with all that, right? The Bloods and the Crips were a response to the Spook Hunters like Android was a response to iPhone. You know? And then the Bloods and the Crips just got really good at gangbanging. Here's how good the Crips got at gangbanging. White women are Crip walking on TikTok right now. You know what I'm saying? Spook Hunters couldn't compete with that type of influence. So they formed a whole new gang called the Police. So what set you claim? LAPD? It's wild, boy. It's wild. I don't like that that's the history. That's why I want to rewrite it, you know? It's my dream to do stand-up, but it's also my dream to do movies. I want to be like John Singleton if he did stand-up, right? And I want my first movie to be called White Boys in the Hood. Starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. You know? I want to recreate all those famous scenes. You know the one where Ricky get killed in the alley? Instead, it's Zac Efron. You know? Matt and Zach are side by side walking down the alley, aimlessly scratching lottery tickets, drinking whole milk. You know? Matt sees out of the corner of his eye a red car at the end of the alley. The window cracks. It's Ben Affleck in there. And he got the shotgun, right? Cue the saxophone. Matt turns to Zach. Zach doesn't see it coming, so he goes, Zachary! Boom! Zach goes down. Then out of nowhere, Jack Black pull up in the Subaru. Oh, good! This is gnarly. He scoop his body up, take him to his mom's house, dump him on the couch. She starts screaming hysterically, oh my God, what are you doing? What did you do? He just got a scholarship to play lacrosse. Then you see the end credits, right? White Boys in the Hood. Written by Jay Snow. Directed by Tyler Perry. Compton is predominantly Mexican now. Like most places in America. You know, Mexicans are dominating shit. Like McDonald's, for example. They have monopolized McDonald's. You can't go to a McDonald's in the city without hearing, welcome to McDonald's, I'm gonna take your order, please. Let me get a Big Mac. Oh, Big Mac! No cheese. Sin queso! That's the best English you gonna get in there, dog. The cashier is the one who speaks the best English. Look, go to a McDonald's. The further into the restaurant you look, the less English they speak. You can't talk to the nigga on the fries. He's not even supposed to be in the country. I could say this, because I'm half Mexican. I'm not, but let's pretend. I did have a Mexican family though, right? Again, blacks and Mexicans in Compton, right? Here's how I met my Mexican brother. I was 5 years old. I just got my first bike. My Mexican brother's name is Debo, right? So, I know, right? It's his street name, and you'll see why in a second. I get my first bike, I ride it down to the end of the block where their house is. Debo is on the porch. Debo sees me, he goes, hey, give me your bike, punk. And I was like, no. And he was like, all right. And then we became best friends. You know, it was an attempted robbery that ended in brotherhood. And I got to spend a lot of time with them, man. I learned how resilient Mexican people are because they spent the night at my house. I spent the night at their house for years. Years I would go over their house. I ain't seen these niggas drink water one time. Coca-Cola every fucking day. You hear me? Shit was wild, bro. I spent a lot of time with them. I love my Mexican family. I learned everything but how to speak Spanish. Because it's hard, man. And people be like, all you gotta do is be around some Spanish speakers and you'll learn it over time. No. It's not true. Because Mexicans who speak Spanish treat Spanish the same way black people treat spades. You better learn that shit. Because I'm not about to teach you. If you don't know, just sit down. One time, Debo's older brother, his older brother's named Gerardo, right? One time, Gerardo got mad at me. He confronted me. He was like, hey, fool, you've been around us for a long time. You don't know how to say baño? It's like, nah, this motherfucker be asking for tacos and enchiladas. And Debo was like, chill. And then he switched to Spanish, because, you know, that's what they do when they say the shit they really want to say. He was like, nah, fuck that. Lo único que este güey sabe decir es quiere comer. Nada más. which basically means, I know I had a burrito in the fridge, and I think this nigga took it. I'm paraphrasing, but I love my Mexican family, man. Nothing beats your God-given family, right? My immediate family was one of them ones, and I was the youngest of 4 boys, so by the time my mom had me, she was tired of niggas. Both of my brothers went to Compton High, and then they went to jail. So naturally, she didn't want me to go to Compton High. She drove me to a high school 30 minutes away from Compton in a white neighborhood. Now, what she didn't realize is a lot of people had the same idea. So now I'm at this school with white people and my neighbors. And the white kids were crazier than the black kids because they were just more ambitious, Like black kids will come see the white kids on their Nextels and be like, hey, you see him over there? I'ma steal that nigga's phone. White kids will come to school, see a black kid with the Pop Smoke braids, and it's like, you see him over there? I'ma steal that nigga's culture. If you didn't laugh at that, I get it. The truth is an acquired taste. They were overprotective of me, man. My brother was one of these people because he was a felon, he was in and out of prison, he stole cars, he sold drugs. So naturally, he didn't want me to sell drugs unless they was his. Gotta keep it in the family, He hated my friends growing up. He didn't like any of my friends. Whenever he saw me around my friends, he would stop his car in the middle of the street, get out, and be like, you can't be hanging with them, because you're gonna end up dead or in jail. Dead or in jail. It was like his slogan, dead or in jail. It was crazy to me, because the first time I went to jail, I was with my brother. It was that nigga's day to babysit. He took me to this house where him and 10 of his friends were harboring a stolen vehicle, right? What they didn't realize is that the car had LoJack on it. So while they inside parlaying and celebrating, police surround the house. They catch wind of it, and this was the first time I got to see 10 friends forget they were friends instantly. Niggas start jumping out the window, somebody jumped through the door, another nigga tried to jump through the wall like Bugs Bunny. The wall nigga got caught. He thought it was a game. Me and my brother ended up in the backyard, right? We start hitting fences. I'm 5 years old, running from the cops with my brother. We hop over one fence, then another fence, then up the third fence, you heard this woman go, oh my God, what are you doing? And then you just heard, shut up, bitch. And then my brother popped me because I was too young to curse, right? So we running, we get to this brick wall that's too high for me to climb, so I freeze, which gives the cop just enough time to catch up. And he draws his weapon on us and says, stop or I'll shoot you both. And it was something about the way he said both that made me realize, I'm 5. I should be coloring. I'm looking at my brother, he's shaking his shit. I have to check him like, get it together, nigga. Don't say shit till we lawyer up. I had a few stripes at that point, I stole some Huffies with Debo. My brother, I don't know why, but now that I'm older, he's starting to get real competitive with me for some reason. And I don't know why, right? Like, I was in New York for pretty much all of 2022. I got the opportunity to write on my first late night show for HBO. It was dope. Until they asked me to write the first episode. They wanted it to be about the economics of baseball. I was like, if y'all want me to quit, just say that. I like New York for a few reasons. The main reason I love New York is because it reminded me of my love for overt racism. You know? Because in LA, I like to call it normal racism. It's sneaky. You don't see it coming. It's like, imagine if this was a zombie movie, right? Only you didn't know who the zombies were until they tried to touch your hair or some shit. You'd be like, Rebecca, this whole time, bitch. In New York, it's overt. It's like morning breath. You get it instantly, right? It's all stairs in New York. So one day I ordered an Uber, and the Uber was 8 minutes away. So I run downstairs to wait for the Uber. The driver literally pulls up to me, looks me in the eyes, cancels the ride, drives off. I was pissed, because he could have did that before he even came. He saw my profile picture. I was mad because he made me wait 8 minutes for racism to arrive. But anyway, while I was in New York, right, I missed my mom's birthday for the first time. So from New York, I sent her a card in an edible arrangement, right? And out of nowhere, I get a text from my brother that reads, "You sneaky piece of shit." Right. I responded like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Why didn't you put on the card that it was from all of us?" And I said, "'Cause it wasn't." Then you see the 3 dots and then it disappeared, right? 30 minutes later, I get a text from my brother, and it's a picture of a cake that he bought my mom. It's a beautiful cake. Has photos of her from when she was younger, before she was married, after marriage, stuff I hadn't even seen. It was endearing, right? Only problem with this cake is my mom is a diabetic. Exactly. I text him back like, "How can you be so stupid? Are you really that competitive? You gonna buy our diabetic mother a cake?" My brother responded with, "Nah, fuck you, you lost." It's a true story. And I responded with, "No, we're both about to lose our mom. You idiot." Super competitive, man. My brother has what I like to call hood logic. You know, sound logic that sounds stupid, right? My brother smokes weed. So before he smokes a blunt, he'll take his jacket off, smoke the whole blunt, put his jacket back on and be like, "Can you smell it? Can you smell weed?" I'm like, "Yes, nigga." Just because you whispering don't mean you not loud. It's hood logic, right? Sound logic that sounds stupid. I was young. One time I didn't know how to talk to girls. So I asked my brother for advice. And he looks at me and he goes, "Listen, you can't treat a queen like a hoe because she won't allow it. And you can't treat a hoe like a queen because she won't appreciate it." And I was like, "Nigga, I'm 12. This note says, do you like me, yes or no? Do I give it to the bitch or not? What is this riddle?" It's crazy, man. My brother's insane, dog. In 2019, he went back to prison because he got homesick, right? We all got one in the family. And in that moment, I decided to give up my Hollywood apartment. I was living in Hollywood, pursuing my dreams at the time. And once I heard the news, I said, I'm giving that up and I'm moving back to Compton so that he has a house to return to when he gets out, right? And people were like, "Why would you do that? You're going back to Compton." I'm like, "It's my hometown. What's the worst that can happen, right?" 6 months later, I get shot at by my neighbor. And I only call him my neighbor because I no longer feel comfortable calling him my friend from high school. I got shot at over pussy I didn't even get, right? And this all took place early. So for context, right? My friend, right, lived in the back house. I lived in the front house. Front house is a full house. The back house is about as big as this fucking stage, right? But he had 2 cars, which screamed financial responsibility. So one day he was at work, and at 6 a.m., this guy comes over and keys his second car while it's in the driveway. My friend sees this on the Ring camera at work, leaves work to come home. He gets home by 7 a.m. to assess the damage. By 8 a.m., I get up, because that's when I usually get up. My morning routine consists of yoga, smoothies, and meditation, like most niggas from Compton. I'm thinking I'm about to have a great day. I get up, I notice my brother's car is on the street. He's about to get a ticket for street sweeping. So I go out to move his car. My friend sees on the Ring camera somebody by my brother's car, just grabs his gun, runs outside without even looking, shoots. Bah! Right? The bullet missed me and killed our friendship, right? I was like, unfollow, right? And then I confront him. I was in shock. I was like, how the fuck could you shoot at me? What is wrong with you? And he goes, my bad. Turns around, walks back into the house. And I was frustrated, I was furious. I was like, this ain't where this is about to end. So I get my gun, and I call another friend to bring his gun, because 2 guns is better than 1. We go to the back house, I knock on the door. Hey bro, you gotta move. He immediately goes, you right. You can't shoot at the landlord, dog. It trumps loud music, late payments. You know? And I know some of y'all probably thinking, that's it? You didn't call the cops? I didn't. He was my friend and a felon in possession of an illegal firearm that I sold him. I didn't know I had to put "don't shoot at me" on the receipt. And you would think my brothers are probably the craziest in my family, but it's not, it's my sister, you know? Because she almost killed a dude, her husband. Well, she didn't almost kill him, right? He attempted suicide. He failed, but he tried. And she would have me believe that this took place because she asked for a divorce. So he got all worked up and jumped off a 2-story building into a massive pile of medical bills. I don't think that's what happened, right? Because at the time that this happened, they were arguing. And my sister can argue. What I think he tried to do was end the argument in a very extreme way. But you can't do that, fellas. You're not gonna end the argument with your girl, especially your wife. So what did she do? Go to the hospital. To do what? End the argument. This man broke his leg, his arm, he had a cut around his chin. She still went to the hospital, sat right next to his bed while he was hanging off of dear beeps. Beep, beep. And she says, look at your dumb ass. You can't take a little criticism, can you, huh? Here you go, always saying you're gonna do something you never do. And then she got mad. It's like, divorce me. She grabbed his arm, the nigga woke up. It's tough to have a family like that for me. Mainly because, like, I deal with a chronic illness, right? I spend a decent amount of time in the hospital. And usually these days when I do, people think it's COVID related. And I'm like, no, it's not COVID, it's sickle cell. I only support Black illnesses. We got a few now. We got sickle cell, diabetes, and ever since Jada, we got alopecia. She put her head in the game, you know? It's the truth, man. Sickle cell is tough. It basically mutates my red blood cells. Sickle cell mutates my red blood cells, right? It doesn't allow my red blood cells to get oxygen where it needs to go, right? Can't deliver it. It's like your red blood cells are Tom Brady throwing a touchdown pass. My red blood cells are pissed off UPS driver throwing your iPhone at the door. So it results in a bunch of stupid symptoms. Like, I'm anemic, which means I get cold very easily. That's why I'm wearing a sweater right now. You know how hard it is to be a man who gets cold easily? You know how hard it is to get bitches with goosebumps? Every time I go out on a date with a girl, my arms start breaking out. She look at me like, oh, are you catching feelings? And I'm like, no, bitch, I'm catching pneumonia. You know? It's a tough illness to have, dog. Every time I give a girl my coat, I'm risking my fucking life. And if I don't do it, I hear stuff like, chivalry is dead. Chivalry is dead. Fuck chivalry. I'm shivering. You know? It's a tough illness to have. Like, it's triggered by alcohol. So I shouldn't drink, but I do. Because how else am I supposed to get these hoes? Sickle cell slows down your cellular growth, so I look a lot younger than I actually am. A lot of y'all probably think I'm in my 20s. I'm 67 years old. I do old people shit now, you know? I started taking naps. I used to think sleeping during the day, pish posh. Right? Now I love naps. You ever try to take a nap, but the nap take you? You wake up, it's dark outside. You feel like you got kidnapped for 2 seconds. You're like, today's the day. It's a tough illness to have, man. It made me unrelatable in a way, right? Because I would hear things differently than my friends. When I was in high school, a doctor told me that by the time I'm 25, I'd have to have a gallbladder removed. By the time I'm 30, I'd have to have a hip replacement. Glory to God, none of that has happened, right? Thank you. Yeah, it just made it harder for me to relate to people. Kids at school would be like, Jay Snow, come on, let's play kickball. I'd be like, I can't. Why? I gotta save my hip, nigga. I got 10 years worth of good kicks left. You think I'm gonna waste them having fun? I got fucking to do. Trying to have kids, nigga. It's a tough illness to have, man. I get strange mail with sickle cell, you know? I got a letter in the mail from my doctor one time that said I'm at risk of having a non-functioning spleen. And I was pissed because I'm like, I just saw my doctor. He could have told me in person or text me or send me a letter, right? But it made me kind of sad, so I took a picture of it and I sent it to my mom. And she responded with, aha, no 10 kids for you. Love you, Mom. Exactly. I was just as confused, right? So I FaceTimed her, but I don't call it FaceTime because she never holds the phone right. So I chin-timed her, right? I chin-timed her and was like, why would you laugh at me after I just told you I had a non-functioning spleen? She said, spleen? I thought you said sperm. And look, I know this is kind of heavy, right? But understand something. I'm living my dream right now, you know? I've traveled the world, you know? I've done things that I wanted to do for my whole life, so I have a good life, right? I just deal with dumb shit all the time, right? Like, one of the worst symptoms of sickle cell is the pain. And you know what? These days, the FDA released this thing called curative therapies for sickle cell, right? And everybody's DMing it to me, texting it to me. Have you heard? There's a cure for sickle cell. And I'm like, no, it's not a cure. That's why they call it a curative therapy. So you can't sue them if the shit don't work, right? And they're not even telling you the worst part about these curative therapies. One of them is $2 million. The other one is $3 million. Sickle cell predominantly affects African American and Latino people in this country. What Black or Mexican family you know got $3 million just sitting around? And if they did, I wouldn't use it for this shit. Hell no. The best that these pharmaceutical companies could do with these curative therapies is incentivize them, right? Just pay Black and Latino families $3 million to kill the nigga with sickle cell. I know that's extreme, but it'll cure a few things, right? One, it'll eradicate this illness. Two, it'll give Black and Latino families a fair chance at generational wealth. Three, and this is a sadder fact, is we'd have to see America descend into sickle cell Hunger Games edition, you know? You'd have to watch out for booby traps when you go to Burlington Coat Factory. People will start claiming sickle cell who don't even got it. I got sickle cell, where's my $3 million? Sir, you're white. I'm Creole. You'd hear about people dying in strange ways. Did you hear what happened to John? No, what happened? He died. How? He put on a heating pad and had fentanyl in it. It's a strange thing, man. Life is funny, dog. And even when life ain't funny, it's up to you to find a way to make it funny. Because sometimes it's the only way to get through a really dark time, right? And I developed this skill at a very young age, before I even knew I had it. I was 10 years old, right? And my father had just died. Don't worry, I didn't know him any more than y'all did. Right? But I remember it like it was yesterday. It was Thanksgiving, and my Cowboys was losing, right? So my auntie pulled me to the side, and she was like, hey, I gotta tell you something. And I was like, what? And she was like, something happened to your father. And I was like, who? And she was like, stop being a smart ass, right? She was like, your dad got in with the wrong crowd. You know, he started taking some hard drugs. Him and two of his friends broke into a warehouse after hours. While he was inside, this alarm got tripped and the gate started to close. They tried to make a run for it. One person got out, second person got out, the third person was your dad. And he got pinned by the gate, suffocated, passed. Right. My 10-year-old brain couldn't even process this. The first thing I did was just blurt out, there's no way he got into heaven. My auntie was like, why would you say that about your father? I was like, who? She was like, stop being a smart ass. Right? She was like, why would you say your father wouldn't get into heaven? And I was like, auntie, because if he can't get past the gates on earth, how are we gonna get past it? My name is Jay Snow, y'all. Thank you.